Last time it was Xbox Live True Scary Stories. Now I bring you 2 scary true PS4 stories. Story number 1. The Contact. Of course I have a PS4. That's why I'm telling this story. Now, there's one thing I should note. My grandpa died as I'm telling the story, and it's important later on. He was living with us a year ago before he died, so I'm telling this story a year later. He died of cancer, but he was living with us already at the age of 90. Now, he would always joke about me playing PS4. I would always play The Last of Us, and he joked about it all the time, saying that a zombie's gonna come and eat me. Just try to find ways to make me laugh. That old humor. Boy, do I miss him. But he liked the video games. Sometimes he would sit and watch me. I'm surprised he never got Alzheimer's, because he still remembered a lot, especially The Last of Us. So I feel a lot of that game just because of him. But one day, I was playing The Last of Us multiplayer. Here's what's crazy. All of a sudden, my PS4 just shuts off. I know what you're thinking. Malfunctioning. The same thing I thought. So I turned it back on, didn't think much of it. But then, after that, it turned off again and the orange light was flickering crazy. Here's the crazier part. It got colder in my room. I kid you not, I got goosebumps of how cold it was. It just got cold in an instant. And the orange light on the PS4 was just flickering. Then it stopped. And it turned back on again. I thought it was crazy. But, could just be some malfunctioning. A draft. I didn't think much of it. So I tried to just keep playing. And after that, the game just shuts off and goes straight back to my dashboard. Then I noticed a CD inserted. But I didn't insert that CD because The Last of Us was already in there. The Last of Us just came out on its own. The disc came out of the PS4. I was so hesitant to pull it out. So I did pull it out. And the next thing that came up out of nowhere was a CD. And the craziest part, I did not have a CD in there. The Last of Us came out, but it just led me to a CD. The first song that played was a Frank Sinatra song, what my grandpa always listened to. I thought it was really creepy. But at some point, I thought, is this my grandpa trying to contact me through the PS4? Or just let me know that he's here? Because I did miss him so much. So I decided to test it a bit. Here's what I decided to do. I decided to say, if you're there, please flicker the orange light on the PS4. It flickered once. I got a little excited. But I thought, no, I'm just dreaming or something. This just can't be happening. Then, again, it flickered. So I decided to say, Grandpa, are you there? Please flicker it 2 times. And it flickered twice. The Frank Sinatra song was still going. Now here's what's crazy. There was no CD of Frank Sinatra entered. But it said that I had entered a CD. I wasn't scared, but more excited because I knew this was my grandpa. My room was cold, and this was happening at about 12 a.m. It flickered. The lights kept flickering, just kept flickering. Crazy. Then they stopped. And the Frank Sinatra song stopped. Then the coldness in the room just left. Just like that. I got on my knees and cried. Somehow I knew that was my grandpa. He knew how much I loved to play PS4, how much I loved The Last of Us, and how he would always joke about it. I knew that was him. I just had that gut feeling. He was making the orange light flicker. How that Frank Sinatra CD just started playing out of nowhere, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I wasn't scared. But my PS4 was like some type of device to contact him. This never happened again. But I know I'm not crazy and I wasn't dreaming. I wish it would happen again. Story number 2. The Creep on the PS4. This has to be one of the most craziest PS4 stories I ever told. Trust me, I'm still creeped out to this day. But I've never had this experience ever again. But here's my story. One day, I remember this couple moving in about the house next to me. It was a couple, a man and a woman. Well, so I thought. But crazy enough, they looked about the age of 22. The woman looked 22. The guy looked 22. They were nice people. You know, my parents are nice people as well, so they welcomed them in the neighborhood. How does this relate to PS4? Well, long story short, they live next to us, of course. The guy owned the PS4. And he said, "Hey, we should play sometime." And I said, "Sure, we'll play sometime." So, you know, we decided we'll play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Now, before you trash me, I know Advanced Warfare is a garbage game. I wasted my money on it. But he was a cool guy, so we were going to play anyway. He was cool. You know, I had fun. We played survivor mode. Everything was going good so far. His girlfriend seemed like a nice person. But I can tell you when things turned south. I remember one night we were playing. And he just got quiet out of nowhere. Because he was usually very talkative over the mic. And I asked him, "What's with the silence?" He said, "I'm kind of looking at you through the window." And I said, "What?" He said, "I'm looking at you through the window." I said, "You're joking." I kid you not. I opened my window curtain. And there was his girlfriend. And I fucking flipped. His girlfriend was by my window. I flipped out like crazy. And I said, "Dude, why is your girlfriend by the window? Are you guys just messing with me?" He laughed and said, "Have a little fun. I would like to have fun someday with you." And I said, "Okay, but your girlfriend's scaring the shit out of me, dude. Can she just go back to your house?" He said, "Yeah, she'll go back. So will you." And I didn't think much of it after that little PS4 session. But things just got more weirder. Every time he would play, he would tell me. He said, "You know what? You're a pretty handsome guy." "Yeah, you are." Stuff like that in a very mellow voice. And you know, I shook it off. I didn't want to tell my parents, you know. I was only 17. So if I told my dad or mom, you know, they would have freaked out. But, I mean, I guess telling my parents was the right thing at the time, right? Maybe he was joking. I don't know. I was asleep one night. I heard knocking on my window. I was very hesitant to look. Because, you know, open the curtain, something pops out. But I did it anyway. Opened the curtain. And he was right there standing. Smiling. I got up. And I fucking ran to my parents and said, he's there, the neighbor's there. They were like, what? So they went outside, checked, flashlights, wasn't there. I turned my PS4 on to see if he was online, but he wasn't. I just messaged him and said, stop fucking with me and leave me alone. You're a creep, dude. So my parents were gone out of town this one day. Worst thing ever. I was already freaked the fuck out that this guy was still there, living right next to us. And then, knocking on my door. Before I opened it, I looked out the window. He was there. And so was his girlfriend. I didn't know what to expect. So I told him, please leave the porch or I will call the police. And he walked away. But he wasn't walking back to his house. It looked like he was going to my backyard. So fear went over my head, and I ran back and closed the sliding door. Closed everything I can, and I was ready to call the police. And this happened. Boom! Glass broke. And I did not know what window it came from. I called the police, and I fucking hid. But thankfully, the police got there in time, because he did get in. He was arrested. No, I do not want to give too much of him up, but his name was Roy. He was a sex offender. I don't know why we didn't know about this, about him registering as a sex offender. We just never knew. My parents never knew. We just never got note that there was a sex offender living right next to us. So, who was to blame? And that little girlfriend of his? Well, that was no girl. That was a transgender. She was arrested as well. And let me tell you something. That was the craziest PS4 experience I've ever had. I mean, you can relate it to PS4 because I played with this crazy freak. You guys should check. If you want more information, I'll be willing to give it up. But for anonymous reasons, that's all I will say. And that's my story. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and comment what you think of these stories. Also, if you haven't, sub for more horror.